Okay, well, it's 12 o'clock on the dot, so let's get started. I hope everybody can hear me clearly. Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn webinar. The talk today is given by Dr. Laura Gentry. These webinars take place the second Wednesday of every month. This is the fifth one that we've had this year since we skipped April. But August, September, November, we have some really great topics coming up. So be sure to join or to check the Sangamon County Soil and Water Conservation District website because they will be posted there. Upcoming, we have solar and wind projects, the pros and cons and their effects on water quality, drainage, and the environment. We also have urban water quality best management practices and woodland improvement, invasive species removal. So today's webinar's topic is water quality best management. Farm leases with conservation, farm rent, and landowner. I am so sorry, guys. I can't see my screen all the way over here. Water quality best management practices, how water quality BMPs can improve your farm. And again, joining us is Dr. Laura Gentry, who has served as the Director of Water Quality Research for the Illinois Corn Growers Association and Illinois Corn Marketing Board since 2014. She maintains an adjunct faculty position in the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Scientists at the U of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. She received her PhD in soil science from North Carolina State University in 2005, and from 2006 to 2010, she was an assistant professor of soil science at the North Dakota State University. She's conducted research investigating reduced tillage systems, cover crops, soil fertility, soil biology, crop rotations, and crop residue management in sugar beet, wheat, corn, and soybean production systems. From 2010 to 2013, she was a research assistant professor in the Department of Crop Scientists at UIUC, studying the sustainability of high-yielding corn environments. Her current research interests focus mainly on nutrient management and related water quality and soil health issues in tile-drained corn and soybean production environments. In 2015, Dr. Gentry established a farmer service program called the Precision Conservation Management, or PCM program, that assists farmers with adopting conservation practices in a way that minimizes financial and management risks to the farming operation. Using aggregated anonymized PCM data, she analyzes financial and environmental impacts of conservation practice adoption. Working with the other faculty at UIUC, Dr. Gentry has published numerous extension articles and presented her findings at industry and academic events across the country. She also established and manages a 160-acre field laboratory to monitor nutrient losses from tile-drained corn and soybean fields under various agronomic management scenarios. So we really have the best of the best here to speak with you guys today and to educate you more on these water quality BMPs. Now I'm going to hand it over to the wonderful lady herself.
Thank you, Sarah. That was very kind. Thank you for the introduction, and to everyone there at City Water, Light, and Power for allowing me to give these talks. I think they're just great. The Watershed Group is phenomenal, has been around for such a long time. Big shout out to Barb Mendenhall, to Shelly Seaman, to Jake, and everyone at the Soil and Water Conservation District there in Sangamon County that's been doing great work as well. So thanks for giving me this opportunity. And now, so we are having board meetings this week at the Illinois Corn Growers, and I am not in my office. My office is back on campus at the U of I in Champaign. So I am squatting in my colleague Colin Waters' office right now, working off my laptop. So I'm going to do my best here to share this screen. It's a little different from my normal setup. Now, let me see here. How do I? Oh, look, this little box here is blocking. I'm used to getting to my, it's blocking my option that lets me go to full screen. I think I can do it over here though. Can I change it to over here? No. No, I don't see full screen as an option. How do I make this little box go away? Oh, I wonder if I can do it. I'm sorry, bear with me here. Little different setup for me today.
If you click slideshow up at the top, like there's a tab that says slideshow.
tab that says slideshow up here.
Yeah, right there. And then,
from the beginning.
yeah, I think that'll work for you.
Awesome. Oh, but I bet you're looking at your face now, aren't you? Is that okay? Can we live with that? Hey, what if I do this? Okay, thanks everybody. Oh, let's let Shelly in. Okay, so let me know if there's any problems with the technology here. Like I said, this isn't my normal setup. So what I was going to share with you all today is a discussion and update for many of you about the Precision Conservation Management Program. PCM has been around since 2015, and Sangamon County was one of the very first counties that we launched. Not the very first, but within the first 2 years, we launched PCM in Sangamon County with Christian and Macoupin counties there, and show some of the data that we have been collecting and analyzing in the PCM program. Wanted to let you all know that it is a program that is initiated by the Illinois Corn Growers Association and the Illinois Soybean Association. We're joint partners in precision conservation management. We doubled the size of our program last year in 2021 when Illinois Soybean joined us as an equal partner. The whole objective of PCM is to, oh, somebody needs to mute themselves unless you're trying to tell me something. Okay. So the whole objective of the PCM program is to be able to better understand the financial, the labor, and the time risks associated with these various conservation practices. That's why we started the PCM program. And really it is to be able to better understand and make the business case for conservation. We want to take the emotion out of these conservation decisions for all of the farmers in Illinois so that they can assess it from just strictly a business perspective, letting them be the best business managers that they can be. So that's why we started the Precision Conservation Management Program in 2015. We got started with a Regional Conservation Partnership Program grant that year, 2015, for $5.35 million. And that really launched the program and the partners. Why am I not? There we go. So the objectives as we started PCM were to better understand how conservation practices impact our farmer net returns. We started this in response to the Illinois nutrient loss reduction strategy, which I'll talk about a little bit more in just a second. And so the program was designed to address water quality concerns across Illinois and eventually across the entire Midwest. Our role in this, our end game, is really clear. We want to prevent agricultural regulations on nutrient applications, tillage. We want to let farmers be the best farm managers that they can possibly be, give them the flexibility to operate, also give them the information that they need to make the best water quality and soil health and climate change decisions as stewards on their farm, in their time, in their own ways. And more recently, this last bullet here, position farmers to benefit from positive conservation outcomes. That is a more recent objective that we have developed, and it's largely in response to all of these various ecosystem service markets that have been coming out in recent years. And what we're seeing more and more is that the design of many of these different markets or schemes or carbon capture designs is so that the middle people, which we've kind of come to term the environmental grifters, are squeezing every penny out that they can. And what happens then is that the end buyer is paying more and the farmer is getting less. And what we want to do is to be sure that farmers are being positioned, defended, and represented so that they can get the bulk of the benefits, the financial benefit, for the conservation outcomes that they are creating with their own money, with their own labor, and by accepting additional risk. So we want to position farmers to get the greatest benefit from the outcome there. A little bit about the program that we offer to the farmers. We enroll farmers, just farmers. not the landlords or landowners. We work directly with farmers. We provide farmers with one-on-one technical support. So every farmer that joins the PCM program has their own PCM specialist. And that specialist either has your conservation answers or they will get your conservation answers. We have our own custom created data collection platform. We created it with our IT partner, Heartland Science and Technology Group. They are also leaders in data security. They have their background comes from original work with the Department of Defense, doing defense contracts. So their data security is second to none. We feel like we can tell farmers with great confidence that their data is as secure as it can possibly be when they enter it into our data collection platform, or as they work with specialists to enter the data into our platform for analysis. Every farmer in our program gets a report. We call it a RAP, a resource analysis and assessment plan. And in that RAP report, which is delivered to them, our specialists come to their homes, to their offices, to their barns or sheds, and deliver the report every February and March. And that report contains an economic cost table for all the different fields that they have enrolled in our program. It contains environmental assessments. We'll talk a little bit more about those. And it provides, and we feel like this is really critical, these local practice comparisons, so that a PCM farmer within their report can see how they are doing with their own management decisions, their own tillage decisions, their own nitrogen application decisions, their own cover crop decisions. And this is really critical. They can compare how they're doing financially and environmentally. They can compare how they are doing on their fields with the aggregate data of how other local farmers are doing with their possibly more conservation-minded decisions. So these practice comparisons, we feel like these meaningful comparisons really help farmers who are considering or maybe on the fence about a new conservation practice, gives them the confidence that this is a good business decision for them. We don't want any farmer to become so green that they put themselves out of business. That's a terrible model for all of us in agriculture. We want farmers to thrive and be more profitable. Farmers don't pay anything to be in this program. In fact, we pay the farmers for their time and for sharing their information with us, allowing us to summarize it in an aggregated, anonymized way to help all farmers, whether they're in PCM or not. And so when a farmer joins our program, in the first year that we go out and collect their information, we collect 2 years of data. So if we were to sign you up this spring, say this summer now, we would collect your 2022 data from the farmer and their past 2021 data. So we collect 2 years of data that first time that we come out. And for that, we would give you $500 when we come and deliver your RAP report in February and March. Next year, in 2023, when we come out to your farm and we collect your data, we'll give you $250. And then after that, we'll have 3 years of data to start doing some really good analysis of your unique farming situation. And we think with that, most of our farmers, in fact, over 90% of them, feel like there's enough value to stay in the program without any payments. So we don't pay after the second year. We give you $500 in year one for 2 years of data and $250 in the second year. And after that, we're just sharing you valuable information about your farming operation, your financial and environmental assessments. Through the partners in the PCM program, we have over 30 partners. You'll see those in just a minute. Through our partners, we're able to offer our farmers a lot of great cost share opportunities, whether it's through agencies like NRCS cost share or through private partners, whether that's Pepsi or Cargill or ADM or Bunge or other private organizations, Or in some cases, it's through foundations, like the Walton Family Foundation has a special program that they work with us. But we make all of these programs available to our farmers. We walk through, what's a good program for you? Is this a good fit for your program or not? What kind of assistance you might get? And it's not always just financial. Sometimes it's good technical assistance as well, or discounts on cover crop seed and things like that. Every program is a little unique, and we walk through all of those when we come out and meet with our farmers and tell them what's available to them. We have a lot of great networking and education opportunities. Of course, the report itself is that's our key deliverable in February and March, very customized to every farmer in the PCM program. But we offer networking that's not just for PCM farmers. It's for whomever would like to come out, learn more at field days, or in the wintertime, we have quarterly meetings, we have quarterly dinners, we have coffee shop meetings where, say every Tuesday and Thursday for 4 weeks. We will have, we'll meet out at coffee shops within a watershed. We just did that actually between Thanksgiving and Christmas of last year in the Sangamon County area. We were out meeting, having those coffee shop meetings where you could come out and just chance to talk to farmers who are doing different kinds of practices. And then a few stats about the program. Right now, we have about 400 farmers that are enrolled, around 400,000 acres in the program across the state. That's in 9 different regions of Illinois. We also operate in Kentucky. We have about 10 counties. We do have exactly 10 counties in Kentucky, and we operate in about 3 counties now in Nebraska. We just opened a new region in Nebraska as well with our partner PepsiCo. We have received in total over $18 million in federal and corporate and private funds to support the PCM program, in addition to the partners' actual contributions, Illinois corn and Illinois soybean. So very well-funded program. We've been successful in working with partners to get grants and scholarships and fellowships. We have several different private companies that are working with us directly to help offset many times it's their climate commitment. So PepsiCo is working with us on their carbon footprint project. They've brought in ADM, Bunge, Cargill, a couple other different entities to work with our farmers, or specifically to provide cost share so that we can work more effectively with the farmers, helping them to offset the risk when they decide to undertake or adopt a new practice or scale a practice across more acres. We also work with 3 different ecosystem or carbon market pilot programs. Those 3 different programs are SIBO, ESMC, that's Ecosystem Services Market Consortium, and the Soil and Water Outcomes Fund. They aren't available, like the Soil and Water Outcomes Fund is just available in one of our regions, but ESMC is available in all of our regions. SIBO is available in all of our regions. So they're a little bit different in the way that we can offer them to our farmers. We've received, as I'd already mentioned, the one RCPP. That RCPP through the NRCS was renewed. So that was the second one. And then we received a specific one for, or a third one for a specific watershed, the Otter Lake watershed, not far from Sangamon County. And we also had a couple of different recognitions that we've received over the years here recently for the work that we've done. I mentioned that this program began in response to the release of the Illinois Nutrient Loss Reduction Strategy. I think probably you're not able to see the bottom writing down there, but the goal of the Illinois Nutrient Loss Reduction Strategy, this was as determined by the US EPA, was a 45% reduction in total nitrogen and total phosphorus losses from the state of Illinois' waters by 2035. We also have an interim goal of a 15% reduction in nitrate nitrogen and a 25% reduction in phosphorus losses by 2025. So that is the Illinois Nutrient Loss Reduction Strategy. Illinois is not the only state with one of these. There's a total of 12 states that were told to develop a nutrient reduction strategy for their state by the US EPA. So we are one of those 12. I feel like we have a very good strategy, a good team that's implementing it. The Illinois Corn Growers and Illinois Soybean Association are very much on board with and very engaged as stakeholders in what's happening with the Illinois nutrient loss reduction strategy. So that was really the impetus to start the Precision Conservation Management Program, PCM. And we started out with just 4 regions. And since then, we have grown to 9 regions. And so we've experienced some tremendous growth in the state. You can see here that your region here, Sangamon County and Christian and Macoupin, your specialist is Shane Sinclair. So you can reach out to him. He works out of the Christian County Soil and Water Conservation Office. So you can always go by and see him or give him a call or an email. There's his contact information. And here are all of the other specialists that work here in Illinois. We also have Chris Stewart, who is our PCM specialist in the state of Kentucky, and Darren Kudabak, who is our PCM specialist in Nebraska. And these are all of our partners in the PCM program. We have 30 partners that we operate with. Every one of these provides something back to our program, something really valuable, whether it's technical assistance or whether it's assistance to help us run the program itself, so administration fees and costs, or whether it's, and many of them do this, providing either in-kind or financial assistance, direct cost share to our farmers in our program. So now I'm going to take just a couple minutes here, the rest of the time really, and I'd like to discuss some data that comes out of the PCM program. Very excited about this. Every year in June, the Illinois Corn Growers and Illinois Soybean Association work together to summarize all of the data from PCM. We also work really closely with the University of Illinois Ag Econ Department, and specifically with Dr. Gary Schnittke there, who has helped us tremendously with the financial analysis in our program, has built out how we demonstrate the business case for conservation. And we have worked all of us together to develop this document that we release every June. It goes out in Prairie Farmer, and it is coming out right now. So some of you, if you get Prairie Farmer, you'll be finding this as an insert inside of the Prairie Farmer this week. And this is the very first time that I'm presenting this data. So you are getting the very first, the sneak peek at some of this data. I just wanted to highlight one particular, just a snippet of it, since we don't have time to go into all of it. And then I'm going to show you the link so that you can access the whole booklet if you don't subscribe to Prairie Farmer. So within the PCM program, as we are going out working directly with our 400 farmers across the state of Illinois, as well as our farmers, of course, in Kentucky and Nebraska, we collect all their different agronomic management information, and then we assign financial costs to that. We do that by working with Dr. Schnittke and his research team at the University of Illinois. And he, Dr. Schnittke, works directly with the Illinois Farm Business Farm Management Association. And so we are essentially pairing up the costs of different inputs and different operations, and we assign those costs to all the different agronomic information that we are collecting as we go out and we collect information about all the operations on a farmer's field. So our specialists come out, they sit down with our farmers that are enrolled in the program, and they collect information on every field, starting with the first pass after the harvest of the previous crop. And then pass by pass by pass, we collect all that agronomic information. And then partnering with University of Illinois and FBFM, we assign costs that are associated with every one of those operations. So if it's a tillage pass, we assign costs to the cost of the tractor, to the tillage implement itself, and to the fuel that goes into that pass. So all the costs are rolled together. Then we go to the next pass. If that was a spraying pass, then we take the implement that was used to apply, the tractor that was used to apply that pass. We take the input cost itself and put all of that together. And so this is how we create our financial tables. And then we take all of that information and we summarize it according to what we call our PCM practice standards. And this is where really the conservation aspect of all of this comes together and allows these meaningful comparisons of every individual farmer in our program with the other farmers and other types of management decisions that are maybe more conservation minded or conservation focused. And we assign those according to 3 different practice standards. Those are tillage, nutrient management, and cover crops. So what I'd really like to just key in on here right now, because we feel like this is a really timely moment to be thinking about this, is nutrient management. If any of you aren't aware why this is a very timely moment to be thinking about fertilizer costs, and especially about nitrogen fertilizer costs, this is why. This is a document that Dr. Schnicke included in a recent article where he was summarizing information about the monumental increases, the historically high prices of nitrogen fertilizer right now. And this is information that Dr. Schnicke shared on Farm Doc recently. It comes from USDA Ag Marketing Service. And if you can just see that this tremendously high price, double, many times even triple the price for anhydrous ammonia that we have seen in the last 10 years. So there has never been a better time for farmers to be thinking about how to reduce their nitrogen losses, and specifically doing that by making the most efficient use of their nitrogen fertilizer applications. There has never been a better moment to stop losing nitrogen fertilizer. It's not now just something that farmers need to do to improve water quality into, Lake Sangamon, into all the different lakes, Lake Springfield and all the other different lakes that are feeding into it, the different rivers, the streams, the local water quality, and all the different issues around local water quality that we've been having. This is a moment to do it so that farmers remain in business. And that is something that is, of course, critically important to Illinois Corn and Illinois Soybean Associations. So the way that we talk about our practice standard, our nitrogen, our nutrient management, one thing, if you aren't aware, there are 4 different elements to nitrogen or to any kind of nutrient application and good nutrient stewardship. And we call them the 4 R's. It's the right rate, the right place, the right source, and the right time. Nitrogen timing application is critically important, and it's very important agronomically for making the most efficient use of our nitrogen fertilizer. It's very important financially for farmers making good decisions that can reduce their nitrogen costs. Very important right now, but it's also very important environmentally in terms of water quality. The more nitrogen that farmers apply in season, either immediately before the crop is planted or at planting, or while the crop is in the field, that has the least negative effect on water quality. Applying nitrogen in the fall is something that farmers do for a number of reasons. It's more convenient. It's peace of mind, that it's applied, but also it's often the time that you can purchase the cheapest nitrogen fertilizer. So that's why farmers do it. It's a business decision primarily and a logistics decision. It is not really the best decision, though, for water quality. So we would like to see, with new technology and other advances, farmers applying more and more nitrogen in season, meaning pre-plant side dress or some combination of those. So this is how we break up our standard classes. If it's more than 40% of the total nitrogen rate was applied in the fall of the year, previous to planting, we call it fall application. If most of it was applied either immediately before planting or at planting, then we call it mostly pre-plant. If it was applied after planting, we call it mostly side dress. And then we have a 50-50, which just means it was split between pre-plant and side dress. Or we have what we call the 3-way split, which means some was applied in the fall, less than 40%. And then some was also applied at planting or before planting, and some was also applied at side dress. So these are our classes. Now I'm going to show you the data from the PCM program, 7 years of it, demonstrating what that means financially for farmers. Oh, gracious. How am I going to change that? You can't see the actual. how can I, you can't see the numbers. How am I going to change that? You cannot see the numbers because of this little bar. Can I move the bar? Okay. Oh, look here. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry about this. Okay. You should be able to see the full table now. So what we're showing in this table here are our 5 different classes of nitrogen timing. All right. So more than 40% in the fall, mostly pre-plant, mostly side dress, 50-50, or the 3-way split. Nitrogen use efficiency is a way to describe the amount of nitrogen that was applied per bushel of grain that was produced. This row right here shows the number of fields. As you can see, farmers applying mostly in the fall, there were more of those farmers in our data set than any of the other classes. So the majority of farmers in PCM are applying most of their nitrogen in the fall, which we do not consider the best nitrogen application strategy for water quality. You can see here for the nitrogen use efficiency row that those farmers who are applying mostly in the fall are applying more nitrogen than any of these other classes. That's because they know they have to apply a little bit more because they're anticipating that they're going to lose up to 25 or even 30% of their nitrogen can be lost over the winter. So they apply a little bit extra. And then you can see that in terms of yields of what they actually get, farmers who apply mostly in the fall are right in the middle in terms of their yields, around 220 bushels per acre on our high productivity soils within our PCM regions, right in the middle. So this breaks it out into some of the costs, the nitrogen fertilizer costs, and all the other direct costs of the inputs that farmers apply. And then here's their total direct costs. Total direct costs here, you can see, is second highest for mostly in the fall. Then we break out all the different power costs that farmers are having for each one of these different classes. You can see that total line right here. And then finally down here, you can see total non-land costs. And then this is the important, the operator and land return. This is what's important to see. Farmers who are applying most of their nitrogen in the fall, which is the majority of the farmers in our program, who are also probably losing some of the most in terms of what they're losing to our local water bodies because they're applying more nitrogen at an earlier time. They are making the lowest financial profitability. Their profitability is the least. They have the lowest operator and land return. I also should mention this does not include any land values. And that's very important in this area where you're located is land value, of course, because there is so much cash rent in your area and it's very high cash rent relative to the rest of the state. So any cash rent or other land cost system that farmers are in needs to be subtracted off of this value right here. Okay. More than this, greater than 40% in the fall represents 37% of all the farmers, all the corn fields in the PCM program between 2015 and 2021, 37%. It was the majority, it was the highest number of fields. Now what we're showing you here, this is a little different. What we're doing now is we're taking these same nitrogen classes. Oh, I can only move it down so much. Excuse me, sorry about this. But now what we're doing is we just looked at the most profitable fields. So we took all the corn fields in our program and we found the most profitable. We just took the 25% most profitable and we said, what are those farmers doing? How are they managing their nitrogen fertilizer? And what we find is that about 25% of all of the farmers, it was like 24.7, are applying nitrogen mostly in the fall. But 71% of the most profitable fields in our data set are coming from this in-season nitrogen fertilizer management. So essentially what farmers are gaining in terms of convenience and the perception that they're paying less per pound of nitrogen, so they think maybe they're getting a better deal in applying the nitrogen in the fall. They're not making any really gains in terms of their yield. And it ultimately, and in addition, they are applying a stabilizer or they should be applying a stabilizer to their fall applied nitrogen, which is an additional $13 to $15 per acre. So what that means is that, yes, some farmers are making more money. They are doing it profitably, but more farmers, more of the most profitable farmers are using a different nitrogen strategy in our data set. They're applying their nitrogen more in season than in the fall. So 25%, as I said, of the most profitable fields are applying more nitrogen in the fall, but 71% are applying in season. So that's a little bit about how we look at the data. That's just a sneak peek of the data that we'll be presenting this week in our upcoming booklet. One other quick thing, another side of nitrogen applications, in addition to the timing that it's applied, is the rate itself. The university uses what they call the maximum return to nitrogen, the MRTN range. And it usually ranges between, there it says 148 to 200, which is true. But in most recent years, it's been about between 165 pounds of nitrogen per acre and 195 pounds of nitrogen per acre. What we're finding in our data set, and this is from Dr. Gary Schnicke, his analysis, 70% of the farmers in our data set are applying above the MRTN range. So if they're just thinking about maximum profitability, they are probably not in the most profitable range. They're over applying nitrogen fertilizer. Some of them are doing that because they're applying more nitrogen in the fall and they want to apply more because they know they're going to lose some. Well, they're still paying for it, though. Even if they lose it, they're still paying for it. And you know what? The river is the victim of it all. Our rivers and our local drinking sources are the ones that are being degraded and having elevated nitrate. And then, of course, the water treatment facilities have to remove that additional nitrate. So there's certainly an externality in over applying the nitrogen fertilizer as a result of applying more of it in the fall. This is a little bit more about I wish I could move this little box, there we go. Here is a little bit more about nitrogen rates. When we look at our full data set here, if we look at the farmers who are applying less than 150 pounds of nitrogen per acre, 151 to 175 pounds, 176 to 200 pounds per acre, so forth here, and we break that out into the number of fields, we see that most of our farmers are applying in this 201 to 225 pounds, and that is above the MRTN range in most years. It does fluctuate depending on the cost of nitrogen and the price for corn. But what we're finding is that the most profitable nitrogen, the most profitable, or the operator in land return, the farmers who are making the most on their fields, are the farmers who are in this 150 to 200 pounds. So most of the farmers in our data set are applying above the most profitable nitrogen application rates. So this is the kind of information, we do this same kind of analysis for tillage. We do this same kind of analysis for cover crops. And what did I do here? We will be summarizing much of that data here in just a couple of weeks, 2 weeks, and I'll be showing you that here in just a minute. One last thing, though, that I did want to share with you is just what we share with the farmers in our data set. How do we give them this information and help them to make different decisions? And that is the kind of information that is included in a farmer report. This is the kind of table that you would see if you were a PCM farmer in your resource analysis and assessment plan, what our specialists deliver to you. This is what I mean by meaningful comparisons. So this is showing the farmer's nitrogen management plan. So in this case, this is just a sample. This is just dummy data. These numbers are actually, these numbers to the right of it are real aggregated and anonymized PCM data. But this Joe is just a sample farmer. So if you were Joe and you're applying most of your nitrogen in the fall, and you're making 219 bushels per acre, about the average amount on 240 acres, and you look at all these different costs and your revenues, you find that you are making about $567 per acre. Now, if you're comparing yourself, if you're Joe and you're comparing yourself to the other farmers in your area who are also applying most of their nitrogen in the fall, heck, you're doing really good, right? You're making more per acre than the other farmers who are also using the same nitrogen application strategy. But what we do in PCM is we just use the objective analysis of the data and we say, but look here, Joe, farmers who are either applying their nitrogen as a three-way split or they're applying most of it in season or right before planting or at planting, they're making $575 an acre. They're certainly not losing any nitrogen, or they're not losing any money, and it's also better for water quality. So that's the kind of assessment that we provide directly to our farmers. And so with that, I'd just like to say thank you. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate it, and be happy to take some questions if you have any. Hope that you do about the program. Also wanted to say that if you want to learn more about what we're doing in PCM, we do have our this electronic version of our booklet of our business case strategy that is available to you if you want to go to our website to www.precisionconservation.org right here. And you can also sign up, register for one of two different webinars that we are offering. One is, oh, look, I got to move this table here again. I have to keep moving these little boxes around. But we have them down here at the bottom. On Thursday, June 23rd from 11 to noon, we're offering one webinar of a 1 hour webinar with Dr. Gary Schnicke and Sarah Sellers, his PhD student. The new PCM director will be on that webinar, and we'll be presenting this kind of data along with some more environmental assessments. And we'll be offering essentially the same webinar on Monday, June the 27th. The Illinois Soybean Association is hosting a webinar that we will be speaking at, another 1 hour webinar, very similar to the one on the 23rd. So hope some of you can make it out to that. So with that, I will stop and see if anyone has any questions. Thanks so much again for the opportunity to speak to you.
Yep. While we give everyone just a minute or two here to think of any more questions and put them on the chat before we go straight to the question and answer session, I'd like to thank everyone for being here for this Lunch and Learn webinar put on by the IEPA 319 grant, the Lake Springfield Regional Conservation Partnership Program, or RCPP program as well, part of CWLP and Soil and Water Conservation Districts. And of course, thank you, Dr. Gentry, so much for that wonderful presentation. It's great to keep up on current research for sure. We do have one question from Dennis. Does PCM also have economic data that compares VRT applications for phosphorus and potassium versus a traditional one rate application?
Yeah, great question. We do not. So we collect information right now about variable rate, whether you variable rate your different different nutrients. We do very little with that analysis at this time. We could probably do better with that. It's just something that we have not had a lot of questions recently, honestly, about. So if it's something that you're interested in, be happy, Dennis, to take that, and we'll, if there are other farmers who would be interested in it, we would be happy to do that analysis. It's just we could do all different kinds of analyses. We get lots of different requests, but we don't we can't do them all. So we have to pick the ones that people show the most interested in. So just crowdsource it and send us a bunch of emails saying you want it, basically, Dennis.
Okay, and I think Walter Lynn is adding to that. Hi, Walter. He says minimum acres or whole farm, amplify environmental factors monitoring. Might need a little clarification.
Come off mute, Walt, and tell us the question again. Minimum acres or whole farm? What do you mean there?
Well, what I'm getting at is, let's say a guy's got, I'm just picking a number, Laura, that he's farming, say 3,000 acres, I mean, what's the choices there? Are you want a minimum acres or, you with me?
Yeah, now I'm with you. We want all size farmers And we're happy to have very large farmers, of course. We also we want to get small farmers. Small farmers, that doesn't sound very nice, but I mean, we want all size farms and all size farmers. We do the analysis both at the field by field level, but also at the whole farm operation level.
So,
And
so you want whole farm?
we do not, you do not, there's no minimum requirement. Well, yes, there is actually. That's not true. We ask for 20% of your total acres.
Okay.
But whether that's,
okay.
whether that's 200 acres or 5,000 acres, we ask for 20% of your total acreage.
Okay.
And there's no minimum size requirement.
Okay.
And you do not have to put in all your acres, though. If that's, sometimes that does become, it takes a lot of time to put in field information. Even with our specialists, they're helping you. What a lot of our farmers do is they'll start out by putting in 20% of their acres, and every year they'll add in more acres until eventually they have all of their acres in, so that we can do a more comprehensive analysis for them.
Okay. And then I'll come back to the other question in a second, but are you seeing as Jonathan Koppas got it where you got to do a deal where you're in PCM to get the lease?
Oh, no. We do help farmers, like, if a farmer is interested in a lease, or if say a landlord's interested in some of the PCM data, we never, ever share data with anyone. But if a farmer is okay with say a landlord sitting down at their meeting with them, which has happened a number of times, we welcome that kind of interaction. And of course, once we give the farmer the report, they're welcome to do anything they want with that report, share it with whomever, their lender or their landlord or whatever. We do not share it. That's our.
Yeah, right. So I mean, I understand it's the operator's prerogative, but I was going the other way. Is that if you're doing a rental agreement, are we seeing any trends where that the maybe the more conscientious landlord in Lake Springfield watershed would say, well, it's okay, but this farmer, wants to be in PCM and whatever, and so you put that in your lease agreement that it would be participation.
Mm-hmm. We have not. I'm not aware of that happening. That doesn't mean it's never happened, but I think it'd be, if a landowner wanted to be sure that a farmer was in PCM and was at least made aware of how their management decisions are impacting local water quality and soil health, we think it'd be great to be able to have that situation.
Yeah. So, and then the other one, I mean, what what are some of the factors that you're looking at to monitor on, say the environmental factors?
So, right, I really didn't talk very much about that, but the environmental assessments that we do, first of all, they're all modeled. We make farmers, we use field to market, and they have 7 different metrics. They have everything from soil conservation and soil erosion. They have what they call a water quality index tool. They have a soil quality index tool, biodiversity tool, a greenhouse gas tool, and an energy use tool. We run all of those metrics for each of our farmers, make them aware of their individual and field by field assessments, as well as how they compare to other farmers in the program. And then we also work with, largely because of our work with the Pepsi company, we also run greenhouse gas emissions metrics. Now we do it just for all of our farmers. We do not provide it to Pepsi. We just make it available in the farmer's information. But we do make, if a farmer is participating in a Pepsi cost share program, then we would share that aggregated anonymized part of that with Pepsi if they're receiving money for doing, say, cover crops or reduced tillage. But for all of our farmers in PCM now, we do the greenhouse gas emission stuff, and they can look at, what their greenhouse gas emission score were, what their carbon sequestration scores were, as modeled through a tool called the Cool Farm tool.
Yeah, but I was wondering, if you were doing anything like infiltration rates or changes in you know, soil organic matter, et cetera. That's where I was going.
No, for that, that's just not our program, Walt. I know that'd be amazing to do. There's a place that you could put that information into our portal, but it's not something that we can provide with the labor
Okay.
resources we have.
Okay. All right. Because I mean, there's a farmer I was chatting with, in another county recently, and you know, I mean, very stewardship minded, et cetera, and you know, it was really interesting. You know, he was looking at, you know, some of his old soil tests compared to current ones, and you know, his conservation stewardship was really starting to line up with, you know, what he was seeing. So it's pretty good stuff.
Well, we do offer actually one program, just as, you know, a select number of farmers, like 60 of our farmers. It's called the 5-year transition program. And that's the one that we received a conservation innovation grant for. And it does split fields, a split field system where you have, you know, certain practices on one and then your conventional practices on the other. And over the course of 5 years, we will do all of that soil testing analysis. We do the soil quality assessments with the Cornell test and biodiversity and some things like that, different kinds of tests. So we do offer that to a select number of the farmers in the program.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Well, it's 12:50. So we're going to have to sign off here shortly. But I do have in the comments section, Dr. Gentry's contact info, her email address and phone number, if anybody would like to discuss this further, if you have any more questions. If you want to learn about the IPA 319 grant, we're working on a new one once this one is finished here shortly. And also if you want to learn about the Lake Springfield RCPP program or the funding for it, I've got the contact information under there for those as well. And again, I'd like to say thank you so much to Dr. Gentry. Wonderful, informative as always, such a great presenter. And thank you everyone for attending today. This webinar will be posted on the Sangamon County Soil and Water Conservation District's website. All of these Lunch and Learn webinars are recorded, so feel free to come back, check things out if you think you missed something, or check out the other webinars as well. So with that, thank you everybody, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful week.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.